Hello everyone, welcome to Drishti IAS. My name is Saloni Nandkyoliar, and in this video let us talk about a historic development where Sanae Takaichi has been elected as the first female Prime Minister of Japan. Let's understand the implications of this election on Japan as well as on India. So Sanae Takaichi has become Japan's first ever female Prime Minister, and she heads the Liberal Democratic Party or LDP, and her rise it marks a major shift in Japan's male-dominated political landscape, which means that this election is symbolic in nature because this breaks the gender inequality at the topmost level in Japan, because she's the first ever female in Japan to hold such a position. So it is definitely symbolic in nature, but at the same time it is also controversial in nature. Controversial because of the ultra conservationist attitude that Ms. Takaichi has, the vision, the mindset, the approach, which is extremely traditional and conservationist in nature. It has its own implications. So that is also one of the reasons that basically makes this election both symbolic and controversial at the same time. So let's understand what's happening in Japan at the moment. So Japan's LDP used to have a coalition with Komito. This was a 26-year-long coalition. But this coalition collapsed because Komito withdrew from the coalition because of the ideological differences with Ms. Takaichi. So this coalition could not work and it collapsed. But now in order to gain a majority and win the elections, LDP had to form a new coalition. So it did that with the Japan Innovation Party or Ishin. And this coalition, it won the elections. So it won 231 seats in the lower house, which is only 2 seats short of an absolute majority. So right now, Mr. Takaichi has the numbers to form a government in Japan. But this government can prove to be weak and fragile if the coalition is not handled properly. Why? Because Mr. Takaichi does not enjoy an absolute majority at the moment. And in order to get any legislation passed, and especially any constitutional reform passed, she will need to have that kind of a majority in the lower house. But because this is a coalition government, Ishin is going to have its own priorities, its own agenda, and because of her ideology, she even faces differences within her own political party. So she will have to garner support from outside if she wants any legislation to be passed effectively. That is why if the coalition, if it is not handled properly, this can prove to be a weak government as well. But for now, she has the numbers to form a government in Japan. So let's talk about these ideologies. What are the ideologies which are creating a problem here? First one is around defense and security. So Ms. Takaichi's vision is extremely nationalist here. So Japan right now holds a pacifist constitution. So in 1947, after the Second World War, Japan adopted a new constitution, and that constitution was pacifist or peace-loving in nature because Article 9 of the constitution, it basically prohibits Japan from waging a war against any country, from holding a standing army, or from holding any war potential when it comes to land, air or sea or any other potential of other kind. So it cannot hold any war potential. It will not wage a war against any country. So land, air, sea, as well as nuclear capabilities also. That is why Japan is not a nuclear nation. Despite of being so technologically advanced, it can go nuclear anytime, but it is not a nuclear nation because of Article 9 of the Constitution, which basically prohibits Japan from holding war potential of any kind because it is pacifist in nature. So Japan only has self-defense forces. It does not have a standing army or a standing military per se. It has self-defense forces which were created in 1954, which only allows Japan to defend itself if attacked. So it will not wage a war against any country, and it will also not proactively participate in any war abroad. It will only defend itself if attacked. So this is what the self-defense forces do. But Ms. Takaichi's vision is to alter Article 9 of the Constitution and give this a military status. Because the times are changing, she believes that the threats are increasing. Threats from neighboring countries like China, from North Korea, from South Korea, the threats are increasing and Japan needs to protect its national security. That is why Japan also needs to have a standing army, and Article 9 of the Constitution should be reinterpreted. It should be amended to allow Japan to keep a standing army or a standing military. So this is the number one thing that she wants to do. But this is going to alter the pacifist image of Japan on a global scale. So this again is facing some problems. And the second one here is around her views on society and culture. So the views here are very, very traditional in nature because she opposes same-sex marriages. Then she also opposes women to basically keep their surnames after marriage. So she wants only one surname to be followed in one family, and females should change their surname after marriage. This is one thing that she follows. And she also opposes female imperial succession. So she is only in the favor of male succession in the imperial family. Female should not be allowed to succeed in the imperial family. So these are some traditional ideologies, conservationist ideologies that she has. And despite of being the first female prime minister of the country, this might not be a great news for the female of Japan because of certain ideologies that she has here. So these are a couple of things that basically are drawing this friction within her own party also. And then her foreign policies. Her foreign policies are also drawing some controversies because she follows a hawkish stance towards China. She basically supports Taiwan more, and definitely this is not going to sit well with China. So there is a hawkish stance here. And if we talk about some disputed areas between Japan and China, we have the Senkaku Islands in the East China Sea. So she has a hawkish attitude towards China, and she is pro-US and even India, but kind of anti towards China and South Korea. So there needs to be a diplomatic balance here with all these neighboring nations. These are also a couple of things, a couple of policies or visions that she has, which basically draw some friction from her party as well as from the people outside. So what is the way forward here? The way forward here, first, definitely it is a symbolic change. The government is now basically including a female also at such a top level. But the first and foremost thing here is that the coalition needs to be balanced. As I already mentioned, that for any legislation to be passed, any constitutional reform, if she wants to reinterpret Article 9 of the Constitution, a reform will have to be passed and it will require an absolute majority. For that, she will have to garner support from outside, and the coalition will also need to work properly. So first and foremost, there has to be a balance which has to be maintained with the coalition. And then she will also have to deal with the low economic growth. The challenge is basically that Japan is facing at the moment, the youth of Japan is also facing at the moment. Low economic growth is there. Then aging population is here. So she will have to deal with all these things as well. She'll have to form proper policies for all these problems also. And then she will also have to maintain friendly relations with other countries. So foreign diplomacy will also have to be handled. Especially when it comes to China, when it comes to South Korea, it will have to be properly handled. And for India, it is a good thing because now we can also think of elevating the current special strategic global partnership status that we have with Japan at the moment. That can also be elevated because of the pro-India attitude that she has. So this is a welcome step for India, and let's see what kind of a partnership we will have with Japan in future. So that was all for today's video. I hope you enjoyed the discussion. Now let us practice a question for prelims. With reference to recent political developments in Japan, consider the following statements. 1. Sanae Takaichi recently became Japan's first female prime minister. 2. She represents the Liberal Democratic Party, which has formed a new coalition with the Japan Innovation Party. 3. She supports revising Japan's pacifist constitution to strengthen the country's defense capabilities. And 4. Japan currently maintains an independent nuclear arsenal as part of its defense strategy. Which of the statements given above is or are correct? A. 1, 2 and 3 only, B. 1 and 4 only, C. 2, 3 and 4 only, or D. 1, 2, 3 and 4. Please provide your answers in the comment section and we will meet in a new video. Thank you for watching.
For more informative content, like, share and subscribe, and do not forget to press the bell icon to get the notifications.